What is going on? Hey, welcome to today's episode. This is episode 25 of the KO podcast. Today we're going to treat it a little bit differently. Honestly, it's been very challenging for me to set aside the time needed to be able to give you the training that I want to give you through these podcast episodes. And I'm just ready and excited to be back. But one big lesson that I learned in that was that leadership is a lifestyle, not an event. Right? We're constantly influencing someone, and we incorporate that into our lifestyle, which is why today you're hearing from me on the road. I'm not going to be looking at you while I'm talking, so don't worry about that. But I want to make sure that I give you the training that I feel could really help you today. So, look, I got a question for you. In our last episode, we talked about the trap of title, right? We talked about how so often athletes and high-performing leaders, they feel that their title defines them. And when we lose our title, we lose ourself, right? And that's extremely dangerous. It's not a good place to be. And it's not needed for you. Really, it's a weapon of mass deception, right? Remember what a weapon of mass deception is. A weapon of mass deception is something that starts in your heart. Usually you suppress it, but then it ends up spreading to others, right? So this is a book that I've been working on now for a year called Weapons of Mass Deception. I'm really excited when it comes out here, man. I can't wait to tell you more about it. But I want to build off of that concept today. Okay, we talked about the trap of title. And for some reason, I just feel like I'm not supposed to let this one go yet. I think it's going to help someone today. I brought with me my rank. So hopefully you can see this right now. This is the rank of an Army captain. By the way, I am no longer an Army captain, and I'm okay with that, right? I had an amazing time while I was in. I got to serve with some really great leaders. I got to serve other people. I mean, what an amazing opportunity. And such a great way to something I can leverage now to help you, right? So I love that aspect. But for a while, when I didn't have that title anymore, I kind of started to believe that I didn't carry value anymore. I really felt trapped by the title. Last time we talked about a man named Cody and how I was speaking to a university and he was a football player at that university, right? What do you feel that you cannot do right now because you don't have the title for it? In other words, what is it that you want to accomplish with your life? Who do you want to influence that you don't have the title? And you think, if I could just get to that next position, man, then I'll be a leader. Then people will want to follow me. Welcome to the KO podcast, where we select, specialize you with training, and send you out to bring transformation to a hurting world. To bring transformation to the systems and the people and the hearts that need it most. Look, if you're someone who you believe that our best days are ahead of us, then this is the podcast for you. If you are a mission-minded leader, we are here to serve you. Because see, the mission is greater than what you do. The mission belongs to who you are. The mission is surrounding you. Your mission is in your heart, in your home, in your community, in the workplace. And we will prepare you for that mission. In each episode, we're going to provide you with the tactics and our strategy to help you go to that next level as you bring the solutions that have been placed inside of you with the lens that you've been given to see the world. Now more than ever, this is your time to move. This is your time to continue mission. I'm your host, Adam Jones, and it's an honor to serve you. All right, so hopefully you thought about that question as you heard the introduction to the podcast. But so often we feel we don't have the right title yet in order to be who we're meant to be, in order to accomplish the things we want to accomplish. And most importantly, really, for most leaders, it's people don't want to follow me because I don't have a title yet. And I want to share with you something that I did as an Army commander. Not even as a commander, we can go a step back. Before I was a commander, when I was a young lieutenant, I joined a unit that had some leaders in that mid-level leadership that just were not adding value. Okay, remember, you're either a plus or a minus. You're either adding value or you're subtracting from it. These people were not adding value at all. And it was just a couple key people, but I started to watch them and observe, and I started to see systematic issues. Yes, I had those initial conversations saying, hey, this needs to change and here's why, right? Here's why this matters. Here's why we need to see a shift. This is the culture you're creating for this organization and it's not allowed. Like in the military, I had to be direct like that. And guess what? It didn't really make a difference because these people were stuck in their ways. So one thing I had to do is I started to look for people. By the way, if you're a leader, look for people. And if you're not someone of high influence yet, start watching. People are looking for you, okay? They're watching. So I started to look and I was like, man, who can I put into that position of leadership even though they don't have the rank? See, that's the lesson for you right now. They didn't have the appropriate rank for the position, but they had the potential, they had some influence, they were a leader. The other people weren't leaders. People weren't drawn to them, they weren't influenced by them, they were repelled by them. So they had positions without actual leadership skills, mindsets, behaviors, attributes. But these other ones, by the way, they were specialists. Okay, for anyone who has military background, that's a pretty young rank. E5 also, another brand new sergeant. I was putting them in positions of E6s and E7s. Why? Because we could develop them for the rank. We could develop them to get all the schooling they need. And I remember there's a thing in the military where I believe it's 2 up, 1 down, which means I can put someone 2 positions higher than their rank and 1 position lower than their rank. I think that's true. I mean, for some reason I'm remembering it. It's been a while. But I did it, At the end of the day, I had to do it. And it was so important because, see, what it did is it allowed those younger leaders to begin to see, wow, someone sees me. First of all, they see that there's something wrong in the culture, but also they see me. And they see that I care and I want to add value and I want to contribute and I want to make a better organization that people are proud to be a part of. See, the trap of title will say, you don't have the title yet. When you get it, people will follow you. And what I'm saying is you could have the title and people won't follow you. What I'm saying is you could have the position without the people. You're not a leader yet then. You can learn it. Look, I'm not criticizing you. You can learn it. Most people have not been taught leadership. That's why I do what I do here with you. But see, some other people, they realize, man, that leadership is influence. They develop their lens of leadership, their language of leadership, their lifestyle of leadership. By the way, 3 things that I teach. And when doing that, I saw them and I said, man, I want to put you in position of influence, even greater influence. And you know what it did? It shook things up. First of all, people were super pissed. There were some higher ranks that were like, why would you ever do that? And I said, for me, for this organization, this was the right move. Here's why I made that call. I just ask that you support it. You don't have to agree with it, but will you support it? And it's not even that I kicked out the other people. I just took them away from people. Sometimes we don't need to remove someone from our organization. Watch this. We need to remove them from our people, okay? They can stay in the structure of the organization. Maybe they're very effective. But get away from my people. Don't you bring toxic culture into my organization. Don't you start to make people doubt themselves and feel like they're not worthy. Don't you start to make people feel a pressure of performance, feeling that they don't measure up ever. See, that's what I did. And I have clear names in my head. I have clear pictures of these people. I remember the story. I remember 2 sergeants literally fighting, like basically about to fist fight, arguing over whose office it was and whose desk it was and whose chair it was. And I'm just like, guys, this is juvenile, right? This is not okay. And I thought about how is this influencing the culture on the lower levels of the organization? So we made the changes necessary, and that's my challenge to you today. Look, if you feel trapped by title, start to develop your influence right now. Realize that you could have the title, and guess what comes with it? A bigger gap from the people. See, leaders close the gap, and it is very possible that you could get a title one day thinking it would give you the influence, and instead what it did is it gave you a gap. A gap between you and others where they said, man, you're not like me anymore. You don't get me. You're not living life like me. You're paid too much. You don't live here. Like, there's so many things, you know. One thing that would happen a lot in the National Guard is, hey, you're active guard. I am just part-time guard, right? It's called M-Day. Doesn't mean a lot to you probably, but M-Day. So look, I'm M-Day, meaning I come in 1 week in a month. You're active guard, meaning you're basically active duty Army. Like, you're here 5 days a week or more. So obviously you'd be better at this type of thing because you do it more often, right? A gap. Titles, a gap. And you know what the leader must do? The leader must be the one to recognize it and to close the gap. Could you be that person today? Be the person who starts to develop influence now. I'm going to give you 3 things you can do right now to develop influence with people. First thing, you can connect with people. Connect deeper than the surface. Ask questions. Kat Cole, who is like the president of Cinnabon and just doing amazing things, she says, and I feel like I'm never going to forget this one. She said, questions scale, answers don't. Meaning if we have questions, we can give those to others and they can scale and they can use those same questions to lead their organization. If I give you an answer for my life, it really only applies to me most of the time, right? But if I give you a question, now it can become relative to you, right? I think that's the right way I'm trying to say it, but hopefully you get that. Questions scale, answers don't. All right? So I'm asking you that because when you connect with people, ask questions. I'm sharing that with you because I want you to ask more questions. That's a great way to connect. Go deeper. You know, be the one to close the gap and say, hey, look, I know I have you in a position right now where you're a project engineer and I think you're doing a great job. But I'd be curious, is there anything else you're interested in this company that maybe I can help you develop? Dude, you want to talk about changing someone's life? You just saw past their prior label. You saw past their experience. So often our employees are stuck in a box because, well, that's what they went to school for. Well, that's the first job they had, and the second job they had, and the third job they had, and then that becomes all that they are to most people. Man, you're a project engineer, period, dot, the end. Well, what if we keep you in the project engineer position, but we start to develop you to move into management? What if we develop you to move into sales because you're really good with people? You won't know unless you close the gap. They're not going to come tell you this. Man, if they do, they got some courage. Most of the time, you will have to be the one to say it. Close the gap. That's one example of how you can connect, all right? And build influence. So think of some other questions today and then start to use them. Like, please do not consume my information, consume this training without applying it. You know, then you're going to have like knowledge constipation where you got all this knowledge, but you got nowhere to release it. You're stuck. You're filled up. It's actually a really bad thing. It's going to weigh you down. So, man, could you please, for me, use what I'm sharing with you? Build influence now. I don't care if you're a director, a vice president, the CEO, or the brand new person on the team. Build influence now, and that's one way you can do it. You can connect and go deeper than the surface. Here's another way that I found that helped me be able to build influence quicker. Build competency. People want to follow people who know where they're going. Does that just make sense to you? Like, let's not downplay that one. People want competent leaders. You know, I was a Black Hawk pilot. They don't want me to be like, I barely know how to fly this thing. It's like, ooh, man, you might not be the right person for the job. It's like, yeah, but I'm really good at connecting. It's like, yeah, but you're not competent. You see what I'm saying? They're going to follow competency. They're going to be influenced by competency. It doesn't matter what level you're on in an organization. You can develop that competency right now. You can start to get really good at being known for a couple things. You know, I think about people at some jobs that I've worked at where it's like, this is the person you go to if you want to be really good at writing a proposal. This is the person you go to if you want to understand your data more effectively, right? That person, that wasn't even their position, but that was their competency. And you know what that did? Probably eventually a position would open up for them, but regardless, it would build influence. So there you go. We got connect and we got competency. Let me ask you, what is one skill? I'm going to give you two things. One skill, one behavior you can develop right now. One skill, one behavior you can develop right now. Here's what I mean by that. A behavior could simply be a decision that you're going to make and an action you're going to take. All right? I got all the rhymes today, I think, here. Here's what I mean. You could decide, hey, to become a leader, to become someone of influence, I need to start taking care of my body more. I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. I'm going to plan out my day and I'm going to work out. All those things are behaviors. Pick one. Maybe it's just wake up early. Pick a behavior. Please do it. Again, knowledge constipation, you don't want it. You want to use what we're talking about. Second thing, a skill you can develop. I talked to you about connecting, and let me tell you, that is a skill that I studied. Some people are like, Adam, how are you so good with, connecting with people and with your conversations and your communication? I said, well, I didn't used to be this way. Guys, I was not this way from birth. I was always ambitious. I was always driven, but I was not a clear communicator. I studied it. I was not always someone who could connect with other people. I couldn't look at a camera like this and make it feel like you and I are having a personal conversation. I had to learn these things. Here's how I did it. I made it a skill I wanted to develop, and each day I would take 10 to 15 minutes, probably more most of the time, to just watch someone who had that skill and then take notes on it. I'd watch a video on John Maxwell connecting, and I'd be like, how did he do that? And I just had a whole book just on connecting that I just made, like a notebook on connecting. I'd go look at Simon Sinek and I'd see, man, how did he connect with the audience to where he showed up, no one knew who he was, and then all of a sudden they're laughing at his jokes? How did he do that? Hey, how do the top CEOs connect with people who they never met before when there's the gap of leadership? How is that possible? I studied it. All right? So look, we talked about connecting. We talked about competency. And now I'm going to give you a third way that you can develop influence today. You can begin to be someone who sees problems and searches for solutions. Man, you want to be someone who people really want to follow? Then be the person who goes, man, this is what's going on. This is broken right now. But here's what I'm thinking. So far I see 3 different options that we could use to be able to take care of this problem. What do you guys think? You can do this as a brand new employee at a company. You can do this as a vice president. You can do this as an athlete. You can do this as a coach. Okay? Understand what I am talking to you about is a practical tactic you can use. A practical tactic. You can start to say, and I'm giving you exactly how to do it. See the problem. Understand you're seeing a problem because there's a solution inside of you or around you. All right, that's why you see it. Not everyone sees the same problems. Why are we all drawn to solve different types of problems? Because those are the ones we're drawn to, right? We want to see breakthrough in. Here's an example. For me, I really, really want to help leaders become leaders that other people want to follow. I don't want you to be tolerated. I want you to be celebrated. I really, really want to see you have prepared leaders in your organization. I don't just want you to be prepared. I want to make sure you have succession planning in place. I want to make sure we are preparing the next generation. I see the problem all the time. I'm like, man, dude, no one is prepared to step into the next position. They're going to have to hire externally. I'll see, look, if this person moves into this position, they're not ready, but it's not their fault. It's yours. You're the CEO. Why are you not developing your people? I'm sorry, I get so passionate about this, see? But that's what I'm talking about. What I see, you might not see. Right? You might not see the same thing I'm talking about. Why? Because, again, the solution is inside of you or around you. So that's why. We are meant to bring different solutions to this world. You and I both are meant to bring different solutions to the world. Someone else might see a homeless person and their heart breaks for them. And maybe it had to do with drug addiction or something. And they're like, man, this is not right. This is not right that this is going on. And I say, well, what solution is hidden inside of you or around you? There's a reason you're seeing it.